Okay, here is your review for 5.3 and 5.4. These are the problems that we had from 5.3. Here we are multiplying all these fractions. When we multiply, if we see a negative, the first thing I want you to do is figure out what sign your answer should have. Here we have a positive times a negative, which would be negative. And then I look to cross reduce. I can't there. So I'm going to multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and there's my answer, negative 1/40. Number 18, I have negative 1/2 times negative 2/7. Negative times a negative would be positive, and then I can cross reduce here. I have a 2 in my numerator and my denominator, and then 1 times 1 would be 1. 1 times 7 is 7. So 1/7 would be my answer. Number 21, again, I have a positive times a negative. So my answer is going to be negative. These 3's cancel out. Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and I have negative 1/4. Number 24, we have 3 32nds times 24 39ths. I don't have to worry about a sign. They're both positive, so my answer is going to be positive. I can cross reduce by doing that, and then 8 goes into both of these 3 times and 4 times, and no other common factors, so now I multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and I get 3/52 for my answer there. Number 27, I have a mixed number, so I'm first going to change this to an improper fraction. 3 times 6 is 18, plus 2 more is 20. So we have 20/3 times 1/2. Our 2 and our 20 can cross reduce. Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and finally change this into a mixed number. And I get 3 1/3 for my answer. The last one, I have 2 mixed numbers, so I am going to make both of those improper. So we have 10/3 times 21/8. 3 goes into both 3 and 21. 2 goes into 8 and 10. And that's it. So now I multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and finally I have to decide how many times does 4 go into 35, which would be, I blanked. Let's see, 4 times 9 would be 36, so 4 times 8, 32, so it's 8 times with 3 left over, so I have 8 3/4 for my answer for number 30. And now we're going to take a look at our division assignment. On to our 5.4 homework review. The first 2, you just had to tell me what the multiplicative inverse for each number is, which means you're going to flip that number over. Here we have a whole number, so the first thing you need to do is change that into a fraction, and then we can flip it on over and we get negative 1/7. My dog is thirsty. With number 21, you have a mixed number, so first thing we do is make it improper by multiplying 9 times 3 and adding 2. So we get negative 29/9 for that one. Moving on to 24, here we're going to divide, so we're going to keep change flip. We keep our first fraction, change it to multiplication, flip our second fraction. We can cross reduce because there was a common factor of 2 there. Now I'm doing negative times positive, which is negative. Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. We get negative 3/5. For 27, we have 2 fractions, so we just keep, change, flip. We can cross reduce here, and not there. So when we multiply, we get 15/16. Number 30, again, we have two proper fractions, so we keep, change, flip. I cannot cross reduce, so I just multiply and I get 27/25, which I can make into a mixed number. 25 goes into 27 once. I have 2 left over. Denominator stays the same. Next up, we need to change this -8 into 8/1. Then I can change, I can flip, cross reduce, multiply. Negative times a positive is negative. 5 times 2 is 10/1. So my answer here is -10. Alright, our last 4 problems in this assignment are up here, and we're going to go ahead and keep, change, flip. Mixed number here, so first we need to make it an improper fraction, and then I'm going to change and flip. Now I can cross reduce. And finally, I'm going to multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. It was negative times a positive, which is negative. And I can make that into a mixed number, which is -2 and 2/3. 39, we have 2 mixed numbers. So first I have to make them both improper. Actually, it's -6/5. And now I can keep, change, flip. We can cross reduce here and there. And then my answer would be -5/1, which is the same thing as -5. I'm thinking something went wrong here. 15. Oh, I put a 12 here. Whoops. Hang on. So when I rewrote that fraction, I wrote it wrong. So we keep 15 halves, change, and then flip. And then my cross reducing is not going to be quite as fabulous. So we still have positive times negative, which would be negative. And oh, 3 goes into 6 twice. 3 goes into 15 5 times. And that's it. So 5 times 5 is 25. 2 times 2 is 4. This will go in 6, and I'd have 1 left over, so -6 1/4. That's our answer. With 42 and 45, we had some variables in our problem, but we're just doing the same thing. We're going to keep, change, flip. And then I can cross reduce here. I have a C in the numerators and denominators, so those cancel out. Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and I get 5/8D. 45, I'm keeping. Remember, when you have exponents, I want you to expand them. So 5 squared would be, or t squared would be t times t. Then we change to multiplication. We flip this, so the 8 goes on the top, s, and then t times t times t, or t cubed. In my numerator and my denominator, I have s's, so those go away. When I multiply across the top, I get 16. Notice across the bottom, I just have a bunch of t's. So it's going to be t, and then I count how many I have, and that'll be my exponent. So it's t to the power of 5. So we have 16/t to the 5th power. And that is it for this homework review. Remember to make a note of any questions that you have. You can ask those in our next Zoom or on your class's discussion board on Redditor. See you guys. See you soon.